Alright, so in the last video we talked about combining integers and strings. And the thing that you should have taken away from that is when you're doing math operations, you should put them in parentheses to focus on those math operations. That way you don't have to worry about the issue of this second one down here, if you remember. After the string, we went ahead and added age 1, age 2, and age 3, and it treated them all as strings. And so we wound up with 151416, which is not what we wanted. We wanted 45 by adding all of them together. And in the first one up here, when we put them in parentheses, of course that worked. Now I went ahead and reversed this and put the integers before the string just to show you that yes, they will add as long as you put them before the string. But if they come in after the string, then they won't. So I'm going to go ahead and run this so that you can see it. And as you can see down here, and I did change the wording a little bit, you got 45 as their combined age. Alright, also I did change this down here. If you remember in the last one, I had an empty string between these so that it would print out 151416. And if you take those empty strings out, they will add the numbers. Alright, so in this video, what I want to do is I want to move on, and as promised, we're going to create an actual program. And it's a problem-solving program. It's going to let us know whether a number, the first number we enter, is greater than, less than, or equal to the second number. So we can clean some of this up. I only need two integers. Remember, we're doing two numbers. So I'll get rid of all that. And then down here, I'm going to get rid of all but one of my print lines. Add a couple of carriage returns in there so that we got room to work. And we're going to start programming. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use something called a condition statement, also known as a if-else statement. And it looks something like this. Alright, so you have an if, and then an else. And of course, both of them, the if portion and the else portion, is surrounded by curly brackets, open and close curly brackets. The if has a parentheses in front of it because we're going to check a condition. And what are we going to check? In the first condition, we're going to check to see if x is greater than y. So let me go ahead and change both of these to x and y. And then in here, you do it just like you would in math. You put if x, the greater than sign, or right arrow, y, we want to do something. And what do I want to do? I'm going to print out x is greater than y. So I'm going to cut that with Control X, paste it in here with Control V, and I'm going to go ahead and paste it in here. And then I'm going to go ahead and change the words in here, and we're going to put a string for the first one, x is greater than y, and the second one, x is less than y. Alright, so it looks something like this here. Alright, now one of the things that I do want to talk about is if you put this x and y within the quotation marks, it's not the variable. You're not using the variable. It's text. It's part of the string. Now, if you add it out here by itself, like that, then you would be using the actual variable here. All right, and we'll be getting into that in a little bit. So here, let me go ahead and change x to be greater than y. So I'm going to change it to 17. And then I'm going to run my program. All right, and it comes up x is greater than y. So else if it's not greater than y, it's going to jump down to the else portion and say x is less than y. So let me go ahead and set y to be greater than x. So we'll set that to 18. Run it again, and now it should say x is less than y. All right, and I can do this all day. But now if you're really paying attention, you know that there's a third portion to this, and that's that if x is equal to y. So let me go ahead and set them both to 18. And then take a look real quick, and what do you think it's going to do? What's going to happen is it's going to come down here and say if x is greater than y, which it's not. So I want to do this, but since it's not, I'm going to jump down to the else statement. And this basically handles everything that doesn't meet the first criteria. So if I do this, it's going to say x is less than y. So I'm going to go ahead and run it so you can see it. And it comes up x is less than y, and we know that that's not true. So we need to add another condition in here. So we're going to say else if, and then another parentheses, and we're going to say if x is less than y. All right, so now it's going to check the first one, and since it's not greater than y, it's going to check the second one, and now they're equal, so it's not less than y. So as you can imagine, if we don't put anything in here, it's probably not going to do anything. But let's run it just so that we can see. And it finishes and nothing displays. So this is also known as a bug, sometimes a system crash, because it can crash your system, or your program, I should say. All right, so we're going to add another condition down here, and all we have to do is type in else. Because in this particular program, there's only three outcomes. It's either going to be greater than, less than, or equal to. There's no other options. So let me go ahead and type in an else portion and put x is equal to y. And so it'll look like something here. Now, if you had more conditions, and you will, when you get into more complex programming, you may have to write a few else if statements before you get to the else. All right, but like say in this one, we've only got three outcomes, and that's why to me, this is like the perfect teaching program. So if I run this now, of course, they're both equal. It's going to go through the first one, go through the second one, and since it doesn't meet any of those, it will come down here and say x is equal to y. So we run this, and x is equal to y. Now we can go back if you're not sure, and we'll set x greater than y. So we'll put that at 19, and it should say x is greater than y. And we can set it less than, so we'll set it to 17. And you should get x is less than y. And then, of course, set them both equal one more time so that you can see it. And it skips over the first two, and x is equal to y. All right, so you have a good working program. We're going to carry it a little bit farther in the next one. So stick around. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.